Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Locked On Seminoles. Hopefully it's Tuesday as you're listening to this, and hopefully you're off to a great week. I'm your host, Max. As you can see behind me, I've got something no Miami fan has, and that's a diploma from the school I cheer for. I went to Florida State for 5.5 years, glorious years. Drake was there for 4.5. We are fans first, people second, and we have been podcasters third for going on 2 years now, bringing you Florida State sports every single day, Monday through Friday. Today, we are going to look at the offensive depth chart ahead of spring practice, which starts next week. And I'm going to give my takes at receiver and why it's probably not the people y'all are thinking it's going to be. And I think there's a lot more internally developed talent that we have kind of forgotten about in lieu of transfers, and I'm pumped to talk about it. So Drake, let's go ahead and roll that video and get the people into the show.
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Folks, like we said, I'm Max, that's Drake. You can find us on Twitter, but most importantly, you can find us here every single day. If you are on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you turn on notifications with the bell up top, and make sure you like the individual video. Most importantly, we usually do a Mailbag Monday. Make sure y'all leave your comments, leave your questions, leave your concerns, and we will get to them next Monday. But I do want to address one thing, Drake, before we dive into the offensive depth chart preview. Last week we had a good episode where it was a little conversational towards the end, and y'all ripped me apart, which is always fun. Like, it's, I love the dialogues. I really do enjoy interacting with y'all. We get to do what we do because you do what you do. And I think I was talking about the concern for the future. And I think that, I know that it got construed, and I wasn't saying it well, as I think we need to forget about next year. And that's not what I was trying to say, not the point I was trying to make. What I was trying to say, and what I still believe, is as I ponder it more and more, and I look at next year, if we don't do several other things right in addition to winning, I don't know if I'm going to feel great just because we got to a certain threshold of wins. That got bogged down in examples. I don't, Drake, I don't really care that much about how we win, whatever. To me, it's three things, right? It's what does your staff look like? What does your recruiting look like? And what does your on the field results look like? That was the point I was trying to make. If we win 8 games, I'll be happy. But if we have the 20th ranked recruiting class and we still have the exact same staff, I'm really not going to care. We win 8 games, we win 9 games, we win 7 games, whatever. We have the number 5 ranked recruiting class. I'm going to be really fired up. So that was the larger point, and Dave has just joined us. Did you shave? Where'd your beard go?
I did.
You did, right? You look great. But Max, you're kind of pointing with that. I think if all those things do happen, where recruiting does go better, if we have all staff changes that we kind of want, we eventually will be getting those wins, and that's to me, it does give a proof of concept to that. So it's okay, then maybe it'll give me. I'll be able to sleep better at night knowing that my FSU football program is doing well and my money isn't going to nothing. So,
and I just want to say, I think my point was that I know we also have to think about just because we do well this year, if we suck the next year, does it really matter? I don't think if we don't do well this year, we're going to see a do well the year after that.
But that was my point. Yeah. That's what I didn't articulate well. I agree with all of that. That's right. If we win on the field, we'll get better recruits probably. If we get better recruits, we'll probably win on the field. You guys are completely correct. My point was more I lived through 2014 and 2015, and I watched teams that we knew were not that good, but we just went to bed at night no, it's fine.
It'll be all right.
We made it to the playoff. We're fine, but we knew. So I don't want to end up. I'm not going to let myself get into that situation again if that appears to be the situation. If it looks like we're building and we're climbing, like Reg points out, we have a young O-line, huge O-line haul in this recruiting class. We got to get some linebackers. If that stuff starts happening, great. I won't even think, this won't be a second thought. But my point was just it's not a one-dimensional measurement of success of just, does he win next year? Because Mike Norvell to me has to show me wins and some. It can't just be wins. It's got to be a little.
You're talking to a Marlins fan right now, man. I know exactly what you're talking about. I feel
yeah. Anyway, so we're going to preview the depth chart, and I think that I kind of want to start at the positions we haven't really started at, but then I also want to talk about receiver because I feel like we're very excited for the receiver transfers and for good reason. Micah Parsons.
And for Josh Burrell benching 8,000 pounds.
Well, that was the point I was going to make, right? Like that was the point I was going to make. So like
Micah Pittman, not Micah Parsons, by the way.
Parsons, come on, Max, you can do this. I know. It's my other diploma that's going on the wall soon. All right, so I think Pittman's great. I think Johnny Wilson, really cool upside there. Deuce Spann, great upside. I'll let you all talk about them, though, because I feel like the internal guys aren't getting enough love. Like, Burrell got hurt last year, and that's who I was going to bring up. I'm really excited to see what he can do with a spring under him, getting healthy, getting back in the weight room. He's an athletic freak, and I'm really, really excited to see Malik McClain's development because there's just, again, so much upside there, and it's like, maybe he could be a Greg Carr, okay, but he could also be like I don't want to say Kelvin Benjamin because those are sacred waters in Florida State circles, but he could be really damn good if he reaches that potential.
Is there any room on this team that we know less about what we expect the depth chart to look like than the receiver position?
No, of course not. But where else do we bring in? I mean, there's 3 starting receivers typically, right? We brought in 4 transfers, so like where else is that kind of tumult?
We can already probably say that Deuce Spann's not starting because he only had 5 catches last year and also is a converted QB to a wide receiver. With the Burrell thing, I'm really high on him too, but after what happened last year, with our QB situation where he wasn't the same after a knee injury, and if you did see that squatting video, you do notice where his calf and his right leg is a lot smaller than the left, which is typically what happens when you suffer a lower leg injury. So I'm going to wait on that. To me, I'm actually super stoked on Keyshawn Helton to be wide receiver 3 because I think that's the perfect person to have as kind of like your safety blanket actually out there, not your number 1 threat. But to me, I think the big people to look out for are Winston Wright, the WVU transfer, who is going to be a great wide receiver. Mm-hmm. Micah Pittman, I've cooled off a little bit more on him because I do think Johnny Wilson, that's his name, right? Johnny Wilson has the much higher upside with the size, the frame, and the speed. I'm actually super stoked to see Micah Pittman actually in the return game because we suck at returning kicks and returning.
That's what I'm excited. Him and the West Virginia transfer both in the respective return games. I'm excited for both of them.
I will say this: I don't have any reason to believe that we're not going to see a lot of Ontaria Wilson and Keyshawn Helton again. Keyshawn, I'm a little more stoked on, but everything we saw last year made me think the coaches are going to give both of them, individually and collectively, as many chances as they can possibly give them before they pull any kind of plugs. That's
a fair one.
I like Drake's point about him being at 3, though. Like,
I don't even know that he is a 3. He's great when he's healthy and on the field, and he is more of an inside guy, so that makes it's hard to think of an inside guy as like a number 1. But yeah, I mean, as your 3rd best receiver, if that's the case, we're in great shape, and I don't expect him to be our 3rd best receiver. But it's funny because do you factor like Cam McDonald into this equation because he's primarily a pass catching tight end?
Yeah, I think Cam. I mean, he doesn't need the tight end room is literally him and walk-ons.
And he doesn't get enough
walk-ons have earned a scholarship, but it's like, yeah, you're right. He's a receiver for these purposes.
We got Jackson West over there. Come on, man.
That's true. I'm sorry, I did forget about Jackson. I'm sorry. You're right. But look, I will say this.
That kid's gonna be good.
How good would Rashad Green have been if he had to take on the role that Keyshawn's had to take on? I'm not saying he would have been bad by any means. He would have been better than Keyshawn because I think he's a better receiver. I was trying to think of a good. You know who else too? Kind of I think of. Tell me if I'm totally off here. I think we kind of saw it happen with Naquan Murray too, where like when he was just kind of the go-to guy, like in the Michigan game, where it's just he'll get a big catch every now and then, but he's not our centerpiece of our offense. He was pretty good, and he just couldn't take that step to being like the guy.
He also had Auden Tate too to help him out. Tate helped him out a lot too.
So but think about how different the room's gotten. Like, wouldn't we kill for Naquan Murray right now? To just know. No,
but that's the point I'm making. I think what these transfers do is they're going to let a lot of these guys play the roles they should be playing. And like, I'm interested to see what does Keyshawn Helton do when he's not being asked to be the number 1 receiver who also is your deep threat. Like, we finally got Andrew Parchment last year, and it's like, again, what's the old tired analogy? Like, if you judge a fish's ability or judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, you're going to think it's a broken fish. Like, that's kind of what you see with Helton. He wasn't bad by any means, but he just wasn't playing the role he's built for. So it's like now he's going to get to do that. You're going to have, what did we say? There's 4 guys, I think, right now, over 6'4" on the roster that can handle the outsides for you. Like, you've got, again, Burrell that can play that sort of, I don't want to say slot, but that sort of inside, when they like to go too wide and kind of have one offsetting inside guy. I don't know. I'm really interested. So depth chart wise, it's hard with receivers, I guess, to like say in a depth chart. But to me, I think your starters you're going to have Keyshawn Helton as one of your starters. I think that you're going to see, oh man, this is tough. I think, Winston Wright's, I think definitely a starter. And then I don't know if you're going to have like a real strong third starter or if you're going to see kind of, it'll be like a, I would guess Malik McClain or Johnny Wilson, or maybe Portier if he takes a step up. I don't really know, but I think you're going to see like three guys with an or that's going to be that big number one guy.
Yeah, I think what's going to happen is basically you're going to have Winston Wright starting regardless. And then you're going to have, I think Johnny Wilson's going to be the other cap because I do think that if you watch tape about Arizona State, there's a lot to be desired, but you can see something is there. And I think with a Jordan Travis, and I think also with this offense, he should be able to kind of pull the lid off from other teams. And to me, the third spot, I think it's going to be between either Keyshawn, Wilson, or Pittman. I think it's going to be those three. I think it's going to be a bunch of ors, but maybe it might be more, I guess, package dependent too. But I do think the majority of the starts for the wide receiver position is going to go between Winston Wright and also with Johnny Wilson. Because I'm a huge fan of that Wilson kid. So
yeah, and remember this is going into spring, so I'm expecting there to be three solid starters at wide receiver at the end of the spring. I think that's the position where we're going to see a lot of separation. Someone's going to step up. I just have to believe one of these transfers. I would actually go as far to say this. Of the four of them, I bet one probably is going to shine and one's probably going to bust. Now, maybe that Deuce Spann busts, and he's the most likely, and that Winston Wright shines. I'm not saying it's going to be a surprise. I'm just saying I think you probably get two decent ones out of these four, and you probably get one really good one and one that's okay, take him or leave him. And I think if Josh Burrell can recover from the injury, you could see him solidify a starting spot. But again, that's going to be tough. Folks, if you think you know what's going to happen in sports, particularly March Madness, then you should be filling out a bracket. I mean, it doesn't matter if you think you know what's happening. We all fill out brackets, and then we're all wrong. But guys, March Madness is only a few weeks away. And that means that you have to start thinking about now where you're going to run your bracket. Are you going for the usual, or are you looking for the best? Now, we've done our homework here, and we're running our brackets with runyourpool.com. They have your standard brackets, but they've also got Survivor. They've got Pick'ems. They've got things like that, so you can kind of do really fun things in your own way. And they have options to edit scoring, and they have some intel to help make your picks. And it's all the stuff that you're not going to find at your typical ESPN or CBS. So if you've got a business, Run Your Pool can help you with that too and take some of the March Madness off of your plate and let you just focus on the March magic of beating your coworkers. I came up with that. Good job, Max. Plus, they offer full white glove customer support, custom branding, all those good things. So Run Your Pool is the way to go. It's what we're doing. If y'all want a shot at a cash prize and want to play against us, join us at runyourpool.com/lockedon and enter Pure Madness at checkout when you make your own custom pool to get $10 off. That's runyourpool.com/lockedon to play against me. That's easy. Drake and Dave is a little more difficult. So runyourpool.com/lockedon. We've talked about the running back ad nauseum. We've talked about the quarterback ad nauseum, but it's everybody's first show. So I want to go ahead and just give my opinion on DJ Williams again. I think we should look for him to have a breakout, but I think it's starter. If I'm really being honest with myself, headed into the spring, I think your starters are Trayshawn Ward at running back, and I think you've got Lawrence Toafili at tailback. I just think that those two, body of work, headed into spring, have earned it. And while I look for DJ Williams to maybe sneak into that starting spot by the fall, I'm not going to go ahead and pre-anoint my guy as a starter when, again, he only carried the ball 13 times last year. So those are my two starters at running back. Trayshawn Ward in the backfield. Trayshawn Ward at running back, Lawrence Toafili at tailback.
I think that's probably right, but I will say I have less confidence in the Lawrence Toafili pick, only because I didn't get the feeling last year from their usage rates and the usage rate in the situations he was put into the games that the coaches have a whole lot of confidence yet in Lawrence Toafili. I don't know if that's because of a weight issue or just because they haven't seen certain things from him in practice or games, but nothing last year inspired me to think that he's going to be going into this year getting a ton of carries unless there literally is just no other option.
So I kind of agree with Dave on the Lawrence Toafili thing because it is interesting to see like how his snap share kind of dwindled down to almost basically nothing. And that's the same thing kind of was the year before, but that was primarily more due to injury. To me, I think running back one, your halfback one, is going to be probably, I want to say Trayshawn Ward. I think that's going to be the one we pick because I think he was kind of like the unsung hero last year, and he definitely is going to be his running back room to lead. But I wouldn't be surprised if they move him over to tailback, and then maybe we see someone like a DJ Williams kind of take a stranglehold on that because I think we've all seen his film from Auburn. And to me, that's like there's a lot of talent behind that. But I'll have like a hot take here too. I think that by the end of the season, I wouldn't be surprised if Trey Benson's probably like gets a real stranglehold on those things on the character as well. Yeah, I the more and more I think about it, I know he comes back from a knee injury. I know also that he had like his last stats were like highlights were from high school. But to me, is somewhere that he's from apparently the fastest guy on the team, which is great news to hear out of that. He's also been killing it tour of duty. So maybe, just maybe, if he puts in the work, the staff might reward him with more playing time.
If he can beat Corey running a race, you can call me Miles Davis. But okay.
But Corey Rand hasn't seen the field at all, period. So.
Yeah, I don't know what to do. I wish I had. I've asked around about him quite a bit, and I got nothing. Yeah. We didn't talk about Ja'Kai Douglas, but all right. So do this though. So depth chart going into the spring though, like
into the spring.
Going into the spring, like spring starts next week. Who do you think's one and two?
You're right. Probably.
But it's probably the one that changes by the end, depending on how
I
things
think
go.
you have probably the one that we're going to see probably for the spring game. I just don't think that's going to like stay that much longer for that because I think with LT9 it's weird.
Rodney Hill?
They loved him too. So Rodney Hill, I think, is too young.
Top 300 guy comes
he's
in.
Lawrence Toafili 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, and my issue with Toafili, and I'm gonna like maybe way out over my skis here, but I don't think has gained a pound. And like James Blackman was able to gain 15 pounds in college. Like I've done it in college. Like college, right? I've done the food. Yeah, I've done the eating. I've done the gaining weight. Like working out. It sucks. If you have a professional staff basically making all your meals in like the best training facilities in the world, like not the best, but like up there in that top 1%, you got training staff. You hopefully by now they're allowed to have as many muscle milks as they want. I know there was an issue with that a couple of years ago. Like if you're not putting on weight, especially when everyone else, how much weight did Amari Gainer gain last year? 20 pounds? Like all the guys were getting massive and Lawrence Toafili can't put on a pound. Like, that just says to me, like, I don't know if it's laziness or if it's just like, he's just like, oh, well, I know my game and I'm not going to listen to the coaches. But I think, Dave, it's clearly a size issue. Like, he just does not have the durability for the college game. And, I don't know if he's scared to lose a step. I don't know what it is, but he's got to put on weight or, I think you're right. His carries probably dwindle because he's 6 feet tall, 185 pounds. Like, that's like my size. And I've stood next to some of those guys on defense, and I am not in condition to be hit by them. So,
right,
it's just not going to be a thing.
Good for business.
No. It would destroy the moneymaker. Now, an interesting one before we get to the O-line is going to be quarterback because we're talking about spring practice here. So we know Jordan Travis is going in as QB1. Who do y'all think is QB of the other team for the spring game? Like if you're viewing the depth chart that way, like if that's QB2, is it Rodemaker or is it Duffy or is it
Geno English?
Shut
it's Geno English. It is the TikTok sensation. It is Geno.
He's not a sensation. He gets like 2,000 likes or something.
That's more than all three of us combined on TikTok right now. So
yeah, I also made one TikTok ever, and then we converted it to our Knowles Anonymous, and then we made one ever. We're not consistent with the talk. But
it's going to be probably AJ Duffy.
Tate Rodemaker. It's going to be Tate Rodemaker.
I don't think so. Honestly.
No. I'm saying if it were tomorrow, so we're viewing it through that lens. But like starting spring practice, AJ Duffy has never gone through a college practice. You think he's QB2?
Starting spring practice, it's going to be Tate Rodemaker. But I think for the spring game, you're going to see AJ Duffy and team 2.
Let me ask you this: we all sat in that press box for that spring game last year. Low flex, but Tate Rodemaker looked good. If he goes out there and just crushes,
no, he didn't. He lost to Geno English in the freaking walk-on celebrity game.
Did it look
good? Set that aside. If he goes out there and just absolutely crushes it, I mean, just like is 20 for 20 and just throwing dimes, is that going to change your outlook?
No, it's just not. I mean, I get what you're saying, but I actually, Drake, I was hoping you would stand firm because I feel the way you originally felt. I just wanted to see if I can mess with you. I actually do think AJ Duffy is probably your second team guy. Like, think about how we feel about Tate Rodemaker. Maybe I'm wrong. Does Norvell really need to see a lot more of Tate Rodemaker taking second team reps? Like, on Monday, they're going to practice. And when they split into first team and second team, that's what I'm talking about. I think you probably let AJ Duffy take the second team reps. Maybe if he doesn't know plays, but I don't know.
I also say he does that because we only have 3 scholarship QBs. The moment you put Tate Rodemaker with the third team, you already tell him he'll never, ever start here. And then immediately probably will go to the transfer portal. And then, we're going to have 2 scholarship QBs coming in the summer and then maybe get a transfer out of there with whatever transfer portal kids are left. So it's like you also have to kind of weigh that too.
I understand you're right. I mean, you're right.
I know. I don't like that thought process either.
Is Geno English, jokes aside, Geno would be the next guy, but like, is losing Tate Rodemaker really going to hurt you as a team if you think Duffy's better? If Duffy is better. I don't know. I don't know if you need a QB3 that badly. Like, I mean, I guess we did last year, but
I think it is for depth reasons why you don't want the kid getting hurt super early.
We keep saying the same thing. If Jordan Travis gets injured, we are not in a position to win the games he's not playing. We're just not. No matter who's back there behind him this coming year while AJ Duffy's a true freshman.
Although I just changed my mind because of what Dave said.
But let me ask you both a question. What are the odds that Jordan Travis, within the first 3 games of the season, misses multiple snaps in a game due to an injury-related issue? Do you want a true freshman, AJ Duffy, in the second college football game he's ever suited up for, going in against LSU?
No.
We wanted Norvell fired after having Chubba Purdy do live drills in a scrimmage.
I have no desire to say it. You're right. But look, hang on, timeout. I don't know AJ Duffy. I've changed my mind 3 times during this segment. I don't know AJ Duffy. So if we can land Chris Parsons, and I know there was some drama about that over the weekend, or an equally good quarterback, if AJ Duffy gives me the best chance to win the most games by any amount this year over Tate Rodemaker, like there's no Jordan Travis, I don't really care if his career gets like a little stunted by him starting a little too early because we can bring someone else in. Like I'm not saying I want him to get hurt, but I'm saying like I don't know if I'm thinking about it long term like that because like either he's the Messiah, right? Like he's a Jameis Winston and he should be starting right now. Or he's just kind of an average, like 4-star kid coming out of high school who will win you 7-8 games.
That's what we need, though. We haven't won 8-7 games.
But that's my point.
DeAndre Francois.
But that's my point is you can get another one of him next year. You can get another one of him in the transfer portal if he's that level. If he is that level, then I'm not really worried about prioritizing his long-term growth. I just want him to like win this year. It's like just if AJ Duffy gives you the best chance.
So now you want to win this year, and you don't care about long-term stuff today as opposed to last week.
In that one, well, that's like paint with a broad brush, my man. In that one instance, yes, play the best quarterback. I don't want AJ Duffy protected if he gives you a legitimate better chance to win than Tate Rodemaker does. But guys, we got to go to commercial real quick. We'll come back to this. Folks, you got to land your bets somewhere, and you might as well do it at betonline.net. Not only do they have a great interface, not only do they have the most lines, but they have info, they have stats, and they will help you place the best bets on the best games. March Madness is coming up. Get ready to place those bets at betonline.net. betonline.net, where the game starts.
Yeah, so you heard me last week say that I just want to win this year and that I have to put the future aside because I don't think the future looks good at this year isn't. But there's only one caveat to that. I'm not James Blackmaning AJ Duffy, who by all accounts appears to be somebody that I expect to turn into a quarterback of the DeAndre Francois quality. We haven't had a quarterback like that since DeAndre Francois, and apparently it's not just as easy to find them as it used to be at Florida State when we just had year in, year out either 5-star quarterbacks or quarterbacks who were playing like a 5-star for a long time.
So you and I are like on complete opposite ends of that spectrum, and that's fine. Yeah. Like I'm the other way.
It's
like
weird.
For me, it's not just win. Except like in that situation, it's like, you know what? I'm not going to prioritize like one kid over winning. I'm more like, again, I'm clarifying my comments. Like I said, it's just if we win 8 games, like again, 10 is a different story. But if we win like whatever, 7, 8 games and like nothing else changes and you're still getting a 20th ranked recruiting class and all that, again, not likely. I get that, but whatever. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
Let me say one more thing. Sure. This is the reason I say that. this team ain't built to just win a bunch of games if Jordan Travis ain't in there. I don't care who the backup is. It's not like he's surrounded by a cast of people who prop Jordan Travis up. I think Jordan Travis is the only reason this team will contend to win 8 or 9 games or whatever.
100%. Let's talk about the offensive line, because I think it was Reg in our comments. Reg, where you at, bud? Yeah, Reg 0684. We only lose 2 O-line off this team in 23, Gibbons and Lyles. Scott, Harris, Washington, Smith all return. Guys like Schrader, Orr, and Herring. I don't really care about any of those 3, but that's fine. But we did bring in a lot of O-line. So, Drake, you follow recruiting probably closer than any of us. I want to ask, I don't want to run through a 5-position depth chart with O-linemen. It just takes too long. And, most, whatever. Do you think any of the freshmen, though, see playing time this year? Any of the...
No.
Okay. You don't think, is Armella here in this? He's not here in the spring. He's
not here in the spring. He's going to be here in the summer. But, that's something he's not going to start. If someone gets hurt, he might be the next man up. But I probably would say that's something that we don't want. And that's kind of why we took so many offensive linemen, not only in this past class, but the class before that. Because the kid that you did kind of say that, you don't care about. I mean, Thomas Schrader, this is going to be his 3rd year. Zane Herring is going to be his 3rd year. You're also going to have Maurice Smith is going to be a backup too. We have a lot more quality depth actually, behind the line. We also have Lloyd Wilson going to be in his 4th year too. So it's a lot of kids that
offensive
are in
linemen.
there. Yeah. 17. So to me, there's no reason at all whatsoever a freshman offensive lineman should be starting unless you're the number 1 tackle, like Evan Neal right now, Alabama started as a freshman. If that's the only person that can meet the threshold, you shouldn't be starting as a freshman.
I didn't say starting. I mean, I know we're talking about depth chart. I was just asking, do you think any of these? Because you just, we took 7 of them. I didn't follow.
So
their
make the
recruitments
2
that
deep,
closely.
I guess is the question, right?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah. When they get split into 2 teams, so there's 10 of them. Which freshmen do you think are most likely to start for one of the teams? I know we're going all around with our criteria, folks. Sorry, but we're trying to give you the best discussion. Which freshman do you think starts on one of the teams in the spring game by the end of it?
Probably just Rod Orr then.
I like that. Yeah,
just Rod Orr.
You've got a lot of dudes in that room. And what about Daughtry Richardson, man? 6'5", 285. That's great size. He was at Godby for 2 years playing. Didn't he play D-line and then switch to O-line when he moved to Miami? Maybe not, but we've seen some success with that with Cam Irving flipping.
The only concern with him is I think he needs to fine tune some more of his tools a little bit because he did flip around a lot. I mean, a lot of people want to say Quayshawn Sapp too, but that's someone that also I think needs to develop a little more. And I think Atkins wants to bring Atkins. I think now wants to bring these kids along a lot more, even if it is as early as the spring, because we've been seeing freshmen start off every single spring, Dante Lucas and Maurice Smith and what's the kid's name, Darius Washington all started in spring games. And we saw how they've been kind of ran into the ground. Robert Scott was a freshman 2 years ago. Sorry, not the year before last. And he started in the spring game. So it's that's something that now we have quality depth. So why don't we have them against 3rd teamers, not getting beat up and blown off the ball by a Fabian Lovett, a Quayshawn Fuller, a Dennis Spears? We should be able to. We have kids now. Just let them grow slowly, like a plant. Just let them go. Let them grow.
Mean, those 2 are still going to beat you off the ball because I'm very excited to see what Briggs and Fabian do this year. That's for a different preview. But dude, that's such a good point. I mean, it's you have the air cover to really build up some fortifications and lay a foundation of this position. Again, I keep looking at the list and it's you have 17 offensive linemen. I think 3 or 4 of these guys are walk-ons. So you probably have 12, 15 scholarship guys. I think the center upgrade is going to be the most interesting one. My hot take is I think Maurice Smith I would bet Maurice Smith by the end of it starts over Caden Lyles. Just because he's been in the system longer, and center is the hardest position on the O-line to learn. It's also the hard, there has to be a gelling there. I think Maurice Smith has been a very competent center. But then I look at this column on the right, and Caden Lyles is, 35 pounds heavier than Mo Smith. He also comes from Wisconsin.
I like that.
He's a redshirt senior versus a redshirt sophomore.
Good beard.
That's true too. So all those things considered, this is the first time, maybe I'm wrong on this, but this is the first time I can remember in a while where we're going to have a true position battle on the O-line between Mo Smith and Caden Lyles, in my opinion. And we haven't had one of those. Typically it's been like who's going to actually fill out this roster? We've been just kind of trying to be maybe he can play guard and he can. But this year, we're going to have some actual competition. I guess Gibbons and DLT last year, there was kind of a, who's, I don't know. But anyway, I'm really excited about that position. Gentlemen, do we miss anything? Do we miss anyone?
Miss you guys.
I miss you too, Dave.
I know you do, buddy.
Is there anybody else on that we could think of?
You know, the only person, like I said, we didn't really talk about was Ja'Kai Douglas.
The most underutilized kid that we talked about, and we didn't even talk about him once in the segment.
The most gadget player.
I don't know what position you put him at. Yeah, he's like his own guy. He's just his own dude out there.
A creative player.
Anyway, folks, we appreciate y'all stopping by. We are here all the time. I imagine we'll follow this bad boy up with a defensive depth chart preview. I am flying out to Dallas, Texas, as y'all are listening to this, so I may or may not be joining you the rest of the week. We'll just see how it goes. So even if you don't have me, you're in the best of hands. Based on the comments, you guys like them a lot more than you like me anyway. But, you know, like Jordan Travis, I'm a necessary evil. And, you know, I help move the ball down the field, and you keep coming back, and I love you for it. So, gentlemen, thanks for being here tonight. Fans, thanks for being here tonight. Make sure you subscribe. Getting over 800 was awesome, and now we're on the push to 1,000. I'm Max. That was Drake. That's Dave down there. Hopefully his face keeps moving. Otherwise, it'll... Nope. And this was Locked On Seminoles.
You're more like Drew Weatherford, my guy. Take care, everybody.
Man. Hey, Drew Weatherford won 3 bowl games, all right? So I'm fine with it. 2 and 2. I don't remember.
1-0.